Thank you for tuning in. You are listening to A Chance to Strive, and I am your host. Well, a podcaster. I think that's what you'd probably go with. But, okay, so the thing is, I don't want to make this an episode about politics, but I felt as if there was a lot that had to do with mental health that went into the recent ban that had to do with abortion. What I'm pretty much trying to say, I feel like a lot that has to do with mental health goes into that. So basically, I'm not going to sit here and talk about the case or break it down. I feel like that's going all throughout social media, so everybody can, no offense, y'all can do that yourselves and shit, right? So pretty much my point of view is just, how does this affect people's mental health moving forward? Yes, this is technically something that will affect men, but not really. It's like a woman has to be part of the equation for it to affect a man. So that's pretty much what I'm saying. Like, the priority, in my opinion, is a woman's experience going forward with this. So we're going to talk about that. So for me, it's like, I'm going to talk about my problems with the case, but it's going to be from like a perspective of my issues with how you would partner up a therapist with somebody. So kind of like how the people that got brought the case were looking at it. It's like that dynamic, but we're going to look at it from like a therapist. Trust me, I'm going to make it work. I'm going to make it work. Y'all just got to trust me with this shit. I don't really know how to explain it, but I know how to do it. Okay, so for me, the thing is like, I felt as if it was a lot of bias. And if we're going to look at that from the perspective of like why that doesn't necessarily work, when you have a therapist and a client, right? Or a therapist and somebody that's going to therapy. The thing is, you're never going to partner that person up. You're never going to partner the two if there's something they already have in common. Like if there's already like that underlying thing that connects the two. What I mean by that is kind of like, let's just say they were related or something. Like that's a long lost cousin. You're not going to want to put them together because it's like there's going to be some type of bias that comes up because they're so familiar with that topic or because like they're so familiar with one another. So it's kind of like, for me, when the cases was kind of like, you give a case to a lot of people and a lot of them were religious. And I feel like that's where the bias comes in. So religion is not, I'm not going to talk about religion, but all I'm saying is everybody has like their freedom of religion. You get to practice whatever it is that you want. That's just it. Like, I'm not saying nothing new. But for me, it's kind of like the reason why you wouldn't put a therapist with someone they already know is because there's a level of bias in there. And you understand the moment it's bias, the outcome is going to be a little flawed, which is the reason why you want to put somebody with their cousin. It's like the type of advice that they're going to give, it's going to be a little flawed. There's certain things you just can't control, no matter how professional you want to be. Like, this is something that's embedded in you. Like, this is family. Like, you're not going to give them the same advice you would give somebody else. There's little things you would do that you want to do with somebody else. The same way, so like those people, there's a certain way they would look at that case that they wouldn't look at a case that didn't have anything to do with religion. So, and for me, I'm a very religious person. Let me just say that. I am Christian, and I believe a freedom of choice and stuff like that, but I'm not going to sit here and tell somebody how to live their life. Like, I feel like if we don't talk about this on a on a political point of view, you're not going to sit here and tell me that you're okay with somebody telling you how to live. This is just like in general. You're not going to be okay with that. And I feel something as big as parenthood, like the fact that there's so much that goes into it. So for me, it's kind of like, if we take it back to the point of like mental health, let's just say this is a new world, right? 15 years down the line, I have a friend or something, and I hear their daughter ended up getting in a situation where the uncle messed with the daughter. This girl is 13. Let's just say she's 12, 14. And then let's just say that part, the little incest part, there was an outcome to it. There's something more that came out of it instead of just them doing that. That girl is now pregnant. For me, it's just like, I don't know how you allow a kid to go through something that traumatic. Because for me, I'll be blunt and be very honest. I've had probably once or twice been in a situation where I thought that I was going to have a kid. And seeing how just the thought of it, not the fact that it was happening, but seeing how just the thought of it was affecting somebody who was a young adult, somebody who's over 18, somebody who's 21. How much it affected me, and I'm not the person that's going to be doing like going 9 months straight with this child in my stomach. And then you're telling me you want a kid to go through that. And then it's like the idea that they're in 3rd grade. Like, just process that. You got to be homeschooled. And then it's like, by the time you're 18, your child is around 6, 5 already. That's a lot of your life to give up. And for me, it's like, because parenthood is something that takes so much dedication, it's not something you can just take a break from. It doesn't necessarily work like that. You have to dedicate your whole entire life to it. And I get the whole, like, oh, you can give somebody up for adoption. 9 months, as small as you may think it is, but how much a woman goes through those 9 months. Why do you think there's such a thing as like women literally go through, like, they have traumatic experiences that they have to deal with. There are people that go through therapy because of that. So that 9 months, it's not like, oh, after 9 months, it's like, oh, that was just tossed out the window. It's like, you can give 9 months of your life up. It affects the rest of their life. And the next time you're going to have a kid, you have that experience. You have that thought process that you think about. And for me, I just think that's a lot you're asking somebody to go through. So I don't necessarily care what your political point of view is. But to make it one of those things where it's like I'm trying to say, oh, this should have happened, right? This is the reality of it. So I'm not going to make it a thing where I'm saying I wish it was another way, because that's giving my political stance on it. This is the world we're going to be living in moving forward, until something else happens, or if this case is even looked at again. Moving forward, if you understand that people are going to be dealing with this, and the level it's going to be on is going to be 10 times worse because of how young certain kids will just get stuck in a situation where there is no other choice. That choice has been taken away. Abortion is banned. That's what it means. So now it's like, if you understand people are going to go through something that traumatic, do you just change this and you make it a law and you ban abortion, and then you do not provide any help for these kids, and do not set up more funding that goes towards mental health that helps kids at that certain age, therapy that's specialized for somebody who's under 18 that's going to have a baby? Like, is there funding that's going to be given for things like that? For me, it's like, I get it. Like, it is what it is. That's just what's going to happen moving forward. But there's going to need to be a lot of priority on people's mental health. Because even while it was a choice, people were still dealing with things like this. So now that you don't have a choice, I guess people are really, like, we're going to have to have safe sex. Like, I feel like we need to understand just how much of a priority this is now, because it's like, there's no slipping up and, like, backing away. Like, it happens, you slip up, like, you're a father or you're a mother, like, you're a parent. So it's like, I think a lot of people really need to give a lot of focus to this. So I'm going to make this like a pretty short episode, just because it's like, I know that if I talk about it a lot, I'm going to slip up in a lot of places, and I don't want to do that. So for me, I'm just going to take this time to say, it's like, to a lot of people who are in a moment where it's like, you feel like you weren't heard, or you felt as if you're going to have to go through something that you didn't necessarily have a choice over. It sucks. And there's really, like, nothing you can say that makes it better. But all I'm saying is, no matter who in my life ends up having to go through one of those situations, I'm going to say for myself, I will make sure that I am the most support that I can be to somebody like that. And to anybody that's listening to this, understanding that this is what some people are going to have to go through because of this decision that was made. Understand that if this happens to someone, I get how we used to look at it at a certain point. A lot of people used to look at, like, there was even a show when, like, I thought it was like 15 and pregnant, 16 and pregnant, or something like that. And that type of show wasn't necessarily watched just because we wanted to understand their experience. A lot of people watched that show because they thought it was funny. because they thought people who made the decision to keep a kid at such a young age, there was a level of immaturity that was there. Oh, you made a mistake, and like, this is how you're acting. Or you're a bad mother. Like, I've seen a lot of people watch certain shows like that, and you were making fun of it. But now I understand the fact that there is no choice for somebody. So the idea that we're going to look at it and clown it or make fun of somebody that's going to be dealing with shit like that, try to think about how much that person is already dealing with, and think about how sensitive they are in that moment to any little laugh or looks. But yeah, so I think this is going to be like the very first episode I have that's like under 15 minutes type shit. But I did want to come here and actually talk about this and just that. I didn't care about doing a Q&A. I didn't care about making it extensive. I'm not going to hold you. I had a whole entire bullet points thing. I stopped going through it after like the first 3 bullets. But I just really hope that nobody in my family ends up having to go through some shit like that. And the thing is, it's like, I have nieces at a very young age. And knowing the fact that if one of them got raped, I would have no choice but to be an uncle, and she would have no choice but to be a mother, no matter what age it is. That's not some shit that's easy to just accept. And the fact that majority of people feel the exact same way. But no one has the control over that shit. But yeah, I'm an uncle that has to worry about some shit like this happening, knowing the fact that my niece is not going to have a choice. That's great. But that's the end of the episode. I want you guys to have an amazing rest of your week. And to a lot of people, I understand that this is going to be some shit that it's going to be in your head for a while, because I'm a dude. It's not that much of a priority for me. If I don't have sex, I'm chilling. And I get that it's the same thing for a woman, but you're the one risking that 9 months and not me. So there's less of a fear or less of traumatic experience that I would go through in comparison to a woman. But yeah, enjoy y'all week. I honestly hate this shit, but gang.